Welcome to Budget Beauty, where I help you look flawless for less. Welcome back, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Budget Beauty. We do everything beauty on a budget, and that includes honest first impressions, reviews, full tutorials of new palette releases. And today I am really excited, surprisingly, about the palette that we're going to test out. And that is the new Italian Spritz palette from Two Faced. Now, Two Faced never catches my attention. I very rarely buy their palettes because they all look the same. But when this Italian Spritz palette was released, I knew that I had to test it out and try it out because the color story was not only unique to Two Faced, but really truly a beautiful color story, especially as we move into spring and summer. So if you're excited to get my first impression, honest review, and tutorial of the Two Faced Italian Spritz palette, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and your bell's on because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. I will link the palette down in the description box for easy shopping. I just picked mine up off of Ulta. It came super quickly, and I know that they have it in store as well. It's just more convenient for me to order online and have it shipped to my doorstep. So I will link it down below for you, as well as my favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing today, and of course, come on over, follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. Let me go ahead and zoom you in, and let's create an eye look with the Two Faced Italian Spritz palette. So before we start on the eye look, let me go ahead and insert swatches for you. So I have the unicarton, both the front and back, just to show you what the packaging of the Italian Spritz palette looks like. I love that this is the Two Faced tin packaging. They moved away from that for a while, and I'm so glad they brought it back. It's so fun and beautiful and easy to store because it's the same size as the other Two Faced palettes. It does have a mirror inside with this super cute Italian Spritz drink, and then it is a beautiful color story. We have corals. We even have some pops of purple, pops of blue. I love this shade Como After Dark, which is this black kind of deep shade with some sparkle in it. It's just a very unique color story for Two Faced, but a unique color story overall. The swatches were great. It swatched really nicely. It was hard to fit all of them on my arm, so hopefully you got a true look at the swatches, but we know swatches don't tell the whole story. That's why we're going to create a look with this palette, and I'm going to do my absolute best to use as many shades in here as possible. So as always, the first step to applying eye makeup for me is using my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. This is my eyeshadow primer base. Again, I always use an eyeshadow base because it keeps my shadow in place all day and prevents creasing. I like to just tap that in to make sure that there's no initial creasing. Now, I definitely want to bring in some of the colors in the palette because a lot of the neutral shades are similar for Two Faced, so I want to definitely pop in some color. So I think I'm going to do more on the neutral side of mattes, leaning more towards some of the oranges in the palette. I love orange eyeshadow, especially with my darker hair and blue eyes. So I'm going to start with this shade here called Spaghetti About It. I will say that the names in here, they're trying to be cute, but I don't think the names in here are very cute. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up Spaghetti About It. And that's on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to use that in my crease, kind of as my transition shade. So initially applying this shadow, you're not getting a ton of payoff. It's not really intense, which is pretty common for mainstream shadows. You usually have to build those up. So what I like to do is just tap, and then I go back through and with that windshield wiper motion, just blend. I will say that this color is applying and laying down really nicely, but again, I am having to build it up a little bit to get the pigmentation that I prefer. Definitely not like an indie brand where you just tap and you have all this pigmentation, which I know a lot of people prefer shadows that you have to build up. So that's probably not a bad thing for most people. Now, I will say that it built up really nicely. I mean, it's nice and opaque, exactly what I was looking for. So to deepen up my outer corner, I was debating between Feelin' Saucy, which is this kind of deeper orange, or Mamma Mia, which is kind of this pink. I want to try out this pink shadow. It's kind of a burgundy pink purple. I want to see how that applies. Some of those deeper shades with those purple undertones are a little bit harder to formulate. I'm going to pick that up on a little bit denser brush, and that's that shade Mamma Mia. Ooh, we've got lots of pigment on the brush, and put that into my inner corner. Okay. All right, Too Faced, that is nice and pigmented. That was only one tap into the shadow, and I am getting massive, massive color payoff. And that is a beautiful shade. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a burgundy purple shade. It goes really nicely with the oranges and peaches in the palette, what I have in my crease. Really, really pretty. And it is layering beautifully. Now back in with that same brush that had spaghetti on it, I'm going to just use that, not picking up any more shadow, but just using that brush to diffuse those edges. As always, I'm going to use my NYX glitter primer. I always use a eyeshadow primer for my shimmers. Just tap that on the lid. I'm going to apply the shimmers both with my finger and a brush to show you how they apply. This shimmer shade right here called Sin Sin, which is like a coppery shimmer. I have to use that one. So I'm going to go ahead, pick it up on my finger. Oh, that is so pretty. That's such a pretty copper shade. And I'm going to apply that on the outer half of my lid, actually about 3/4 of my lid. That is really pretty. That's beautiful. It definitely builds up really nicely. Again, I did have to tap in about twice to get that shimmer and that payoff, but it's a beautiful shimmer shade. And then, like I said, I have to use some of the color. I'm going to go into this shimmer shade called Lake and Bake, which is a deeper blue shade. I'm going to pick that up on a dense brush, and I'm going to put that on the inner portion of my lid. I really want to test out some of these other shimmers and applying them with a brush. That's pretty. It's definitely not as deep as I was expecting it to be. Let me see if I can build that up to get a little deeper. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. That is so pretty. It is lake colored blue water. It is a really pretty blue shimmer shade. That is really pretty. It's definitely sparkly and blue. I do want to use this shade Como After Dark, this black kind of sparkly shade. So I'm going to pick that up on the other side of that same flat brush, and I'm just going to pop that in the outer corner closest to the deep shade that we use to deepen up that outer corner. This shade is so pretty. It is black with silver sparkles. Oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. Would have thought, I think that the black shade with sparkle in the palette is one of my favorite shimmers. I'm really liking this look. It's definitely different than some of the tutorials I've seen that are just light and bright using just all of the light shades in the palette. I like that we were able to include some of the deeper, darker shimmers and mattes. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to first pick up the shade When in Rome, which is this pinky kind of coral shade. It's a beautiful shade. It's actually one of the mattes in the palette that first caught my attention. And I'm just going to buff that on my lower lash line. That's going to help bring out a little bit more pink and coral to the eye look. And then back into that shimmer shade Lake and Bake, which is that deep blue shimmer. I'm going to buff that on the lower lash line as well. And then inner corner highlight, 100% going to be Lake Como, which is that really beautiful kind of periwinkle blue shimmer. And I'm going to just tap that in the inner corner. That is so pretty. I knew that I would love that shade. That would be really beautiful all over the lid as well. So here is the completed eye look. Let me go ahead and do liner, mascara, and I'll be back to show you the finished look and go over my thoughts on the Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. So here is the finished look with the Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. I will say right off the bat, I love that I have a little bit more colorful look because like I've said, I've seen a lot of tutorials with this palette. I actually watched a few before I picked it up and they were all more on the neutral side. So I'm glad that I was able to show you that whether you're a color lover or a neutral lover, there's a little bit of everything in this palette. When I looked up close, putting on my liner and my mascara, the colors are beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. I am more impressed than I thought I would be with this palette. It's definitely beautiful. It definitely applies really nicely, layers and builds up really nicely as well. Definitely, in my opinion, the best release from Too Faced thus far. I really, really enjoy this and I'm really happy that I picked it up, honestly. It is a $54 palette. There are coupons on Ulta's website that you can use, especially online. In the app, you can use your Ulta points. But I think for a mainstream, neutral and colorful palette and a palette from Too Faced, this is probably, like I said, the best that they've released. And I'm not mad that it's in my collection. And I know that I will get a lot of use out of this. So I highly recommend. I do want to smell it because they did say that it had that Italian Spritz smell. Okay. Yeah, I smell peachy, kind of orange. I love that Too Faced also makes their palette scented. This is a winner chicken dinner. This is a fantastic palette. So again, I will link it down below for you for easy shopping so you can grab it, add it to your collection. You will not be disappointed. And if you enjoyed today's tutorial, review, and honest first impression, give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and your bell's on because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. And don't forget to check out the description box for the Italian Spritz palette, all of my favorite beauty boxes, the makeup that I'm wearing today, if you would like to recreate this entire look, and come follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. 10 out of 10 Too Faced. I hope Too Faced keeps up this fantastic formula and quality for the rest of 2023.